Hello Superset Maniacs and welcome back to my channel. Nick Walker is bringing back to bodybuilding that notorious grainy look Dorian Yates has introduced to the sport back in the 90s. Dorian Yates is of course one of the very best bodybuilders of all time. He is a 6-time Mr. Olympia champion and of course he is a better bodybuilder than Nick Walker, at least for now. As we all know, Nick has just turned pro last year. But at the same time, Dorian Yates competed in an era where bodybuilders were not as big as nowadays, he himself being considered the game changer, one of the first ones to bring that mass monster look on a bodybuilding stage. However, I believe he gets outmassed by some of the mass monsters nowadays. Of course, if Dorian competed today, he would probably be untouchable, but it is what it is, guys. Knowing that, let's see how Nick Walker looks side by side to Dorian. I'm gonna be comparing Nick's Arnold classic version to Dorian's arguably best shape ever, his 1993 Mr. Olympia physique. So without further ado, let's start the comparison with the front double biceps pose. Before you guys write in the comment section, have in mind that camera angles are different, and in Dorian's case, in 93, the camera angle is not making him justice at all, the shots being taken from an angle above his head in most of the poses. So if these physiques were on the same stage, Dorian's lower body would look slightly bigger in comparison to Nick, but his upper body would look smaller. Just look at the sizes of their heads or at their biceps. Dorian's biceps were never as big as Nick's. I wanted to state that since the beginning because I know there are a lot of Dorianites that will get their feelings hurt if I don't mention that. Back to the pose, the front double biceps was never Dorian's A pose. His biceps were always weak, even before he tore his left one in 94. He's got a better taper indeed, but I believe this pose goes to Nick Walker. He dominates the guns and he's got a great overall pose. The front lat spread though, I'm not even sure I should judge this pose. Dorian Yates had the best front lat spread pose of all time, mainly because of his unmatched lat development, while for Nick, this is by far his worst pose. Dorian Yates wins this pose. The side chest is another pose where Dorian did not look quite impressive. He never had the best arms and shoulders and his chest was kinda flat most of the times. This is the thing with Dorian Yates, he's got a couple of poses that he was losing against almost any top contender, like the front double or the side chest. However, he was so dominant in the rest of the poses that he was virtually unbeatable, as we're about to see in a moment. The back double biceps. Nick Walker looks legit in this pose, especially for his age, but he's up against arguably the best back of all time here. Like I mentioned, the picture angle is not making Dorian justice at all, nor the photo quality, but still, his back details, separation, thickness and hardness are noticeable even in this low quality pic. If this was HD, it would have been a sight to see. Against Nick Walker, Dorian is competitive downstairs as well, as neither Nick has the most massive wheels. Both of them have incredible details downstairs though. The back lat spread is another blowout by Dorian. He looks wide as a house and it doesn't even look like he's trying too much to spread those wings, like Nick does here, or the majority of the bodybuilders in this pose. Watching Dorian pose, I always feel like he could spread even more in both lat spread poses. If you find yourself watching some of his routines, notice that his back lat spread looks similar to his back relaxed. Anyway, enough with that, Dorian Yates wins both back poses. Side triceps, and this is where Nick Walker learned this execution style from. Dorian was never known for his arms, but somehow he managed to pull out an outstanding side triceps pose. Some people say he was pushing his triceps against his massive lats, which doesn't sound unlikely. Those calves of Dorian are worth more than a mention here as well. Nick Walker looks good, but Dorian Yates looks perfect in this pose. Abs and thighs, and Dorian does not present the abs details Nick Walker does here. However, he's got an incredible V-taper due to those huge lats and small midsection. Downstairs, both of them present crazy separation through the thighs, and Dorian wins the calves. As I earlier mentioned, Nick Walker does not dominate Dorian Yates with overall size downstairs, so Dorian might be winning the thighs as well here. Overall, Dorian definitely wins this pose. The most muscular is another weak pose for Dorian Yates, once again because of his lacking arms and shoulders and not that impressive chest. The Dorian Knights love to point out that this wasn't a mandatory in his time, so we shouldn't judge it, but that doesn't make sense for me in a virtual comparison, and it's not like Dorian could have made too much about this pose if it was actually mandatory, but I digress. And yes, that's what Mikey's Iron Rage says, and the Dorian Knights term was invented by Mark Max Muscle. Both of these guys are my inspirations. Nick Walker beats Dorian Yates in the most muscular. I hope nobody expects something else in regards to this pose. In conclusion, Nick Walker has won 3 poses against the great Dorian Yates, 3 poses out of 8 against one of the greats, but don't get fooled by that, guys. I'm not saying Nick is not great, he is more than that, but Dorian would lose the front double, the side chest and the most muscular to most of the top guys, but he would also win the rest of the 5 mandatories against probably everyone else in history. That's why he is the ultimate master of the mandatories. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a thumbs up if you did. Also let me know in the comments below your thoughts on this comparison. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated, and as always, thank you guys and see you next time.